Hello everybody. In this particular video we're going to be doing something ever so slightly different. You see, in this video we're not going to be focusing on the Mini or the Fiat or the Renault, no. Instead, in this video we're going to be focusing on renovating my old scooter. Now, this I've had for probably the best part of maybe about 20 odd years, something like that. And, well, to say the least, it's showing its age now just a little bit. You see, the handles, the foam on them, they're all ripping apart. The grip, all gone. Wheels, flat spotted in several places from where I've braked a little bit too hard and enthusiastically. So in this video, we're going to be changing out some of these things to try and make this just a little bit better. I think I should start this video with probably the easiest job to do, and that is going to be replacing the handlebar foams. Now you see, in terms of actually performing a function, there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't look very good, and when I'm going through all the effort to change out the wheels, the little grip and things like that, they just don't look very good. So to take them off, it's a very easy process. Just literally pull, knock your stick over, I'll put that back. Ta-da, easy peasy. Let's go and get the new ones. So here are the two new handles I've got for my scooter. Now they do come with little ends on them which have little screws in which clamp it all into place quite nicely. This is one of them. There's about 4 of these, and they also come with some little end stops as well. So once I've grabbed this little bolt which has just flown away, let's put them onto the scooter. And knock that stick over again. That's going to get quite annoying, I think. There we go. Right, put that up there again. That's one. Now the thing is, they do have a little pattern which sort of flips halfway around, so I want to try and keep it reasonably, well, I say reasonably, I want to keep it the same. I will say as well with these little things here lock into the sides here, so you'll never sort of get that wrong. There we go. This is the problem with not having the stand for a scooter. Just turn it around a little bit to match. There we go. I said this is probably going to be the easiest one. We'll see. Before anyone comments, this is not the original axle. This is just a bolt I shoved through to hold the wheel in place, because the original axle, something happened to it. I can't exactly remember what it was, quite a few years ago now. But either way, the old axle, it's gone, and I replaced it with a bolt and a locking nut on the other side, and it's done the job for the last 15 years. So DIY work, it does really work in this case. As we all know, a wheel though should be round, and this one here is pretty knackered and it's more like an oval, which is obviously not what we want. So I have gone ahead and bought 2 new wheels for it, and this is one of them. And as you can see here, there is no centre sort of bearings or anything. In fact, shouldn't obviously work like that, but yeah, I need to put some bearings in this. There we go. And job done. The wheel is now free. If you have a look at the front wheel, you can actually see the level of wear and how it's gone. I mean, this side, which would have been the right hand side of it, that's perfectly fine. That's where it should have been. But the left hand side, that's worn down quite a lot, which would be just mainly because of the angle of the corners around the house and which side I was more leaning to on it. But never mind. The removal process of the front wheel is exactly the same as the rear, except for the fact that I used a bolt on the rear, as we already know. But this is the original axle for it, and the way of removing it is just simply get 2 hex keys, or 1 sort of Torx screwdriver, whatever you want to call it, and then you just work them in opposite ways, and that should undo it, as long as I actually keep hold of it. And there we go, that is one wheel removed. As you can see, actually the bearings on this one don't look to be in the best condition, so I think what I'll end up doing is replacing this with brand new bearings for both wheels, just to keep, obviously, keep it all even and happy and all that good stuff. But in terms of the actual wheel, this one's still perfectly round, so I'll probably just end up keeping this one as a spare, so that if something happens to one of the two new wheels that I've got for this, I've always got a spare just to replace it until I get another one arrive. So yeah, this one's still a fairly good wheel, so I'll keep this one. But the other one, because it's now turned into an oval, that can go in the bin, essentially. I've got the old wheel here, and what I need to do now is take the old bearings out to get the little centre stud, axle, whatever you may want to call it, out in the middle of it. Because what that does is helps line it up inside of our new wheels. And I've got some new bearings for this, so I'm not too afraid of basically destroying these old ones in here. But if you are looking to save them, you can use the same sort of technique, as it were, but maybe use a different tool to what I'm going to use, because what I'm using to help separate them is an old nail with the end cut off. And you simply just put it down the sides and hit it with a hammer and then see what happens. Right, one bearing is out. Still spins, and there's the little bit that we need. And then with this one, same trick, except I'll turn the head around this time just to ensure that it doesn't end up damaging it. And there we go. When I say it doesn't damage it. Anyway, there's two bearings out, and they're still both in fairly good condition, so I'll end up keeping them both. But this is the important bit. This is the bit I need to keep for the new wheel. So let's go and put this all together, shall we? These here are my new bearings. They are ABEC7 by Enough Skateboards, and basically, compared to the old bearings that were in the older wheels, those were ABEC5, and basically what the numbers mean is the higher up the number is, the higher the tolerances are when the bearings are built. So what the ABEC7 ones should mean is it should mean that it rolls a little more freely, which obviously, being a scooter, that's what we want. So I've decided to upgrade to ABEC7. You may recognise this bolt here. This was the one that I previously used as the axle for my scooter because, well, the old axle went AWOL. So what we're going to do to put this all together is really quite simple. Firstly, we're going to load this into a vise, which we've already done just to save a bit of time on camera. Put a small washer over the top, then a larger washer, and then we're going to grab one bearing, put the wheel over the top like that, get a little centre spindle, whatever you may want to call it, put that over. Another bearing for the other side, then just lock it in just by hand, so that way then, nice freely in, easy like that. Larger bearing, washer even, smaller washer, and then a nut. And then what we want to do, just tighten that up by hand, and using a 13mm socket, we're going to just work this all on down so it sits nice and flush. Right, and that's as tight as that will go. So now, just loosen this all off. And there we go. We've got our new bearings inside the wheel. And the idea is that little bolt in there should keep the inner little spindle. It is meant to move around a little tiny bit inside there, but it should keep that upright so it doesn't end up falling on its side, which is a right pain to actually get out again if it does get loose. But there we go, we got our new bearings inside the new wheels, and they actually look pretty good. So the next stage is of course putting them back into the scooter. As we can see here, both wheels have now got the new bearings in and it looks pretty good. But what we need to do now is put them back into the scooter itself. I have got a new rear axle for the scooter, which is absolutely excellent because that means then I don't have to use that bolt again, which, although it worked for 15 years, I'd rather keep it all looking fairly original. There we go. We've just lined up the little spindle inside, and that now will go on like that. Shove that through. If it will actually go through, which it won't because that's moved again. There we go, that's through, and then we just put a little bolt in on the other side. Need to grab our little hex key again, it's the wrong size. There we go, hex key in, and now screw it all together until it's nice and tight, and that's it. Rear wheel is done. Let's do the front one. Right then, front wheel. That went in a lot easier than the rear one did. And there we go, nice and tight. And that is two new wheels on the scooter, and I have to say they actually look pretty good. I rather like these, it's a nice style for this. This is my first ride out on the scooter since I've put the new wheels and bearings on it. And I have to say the difference in terms of how it rolls is night and day. It's amazing. It's never rolled this freely before. I've never rolled this freely before on this scooter. But the cost of these wheels and the new bearings, which in total probably came to £25, I want to say, off the top of my head. Definitely worth it in my opinion. It's made one hell of a difference. Right, but we shall continue with the changes. The next challenge on this then is the floor grip, and as you can see it is pretty well worn away. The only bits that are grippy are just right here and here. But this is what's going to happen after about 15-20 odd years of wear and tear on it. But what we have got is a brand new one to replace this. But first of all, I need to get this old stuff off of here because otherwise it's not going to stick properly. This one's probably going to be the hardest one to do out of all of the jobs I've done on this, but let's see. For anyone wondering, yes, I could use a larger scalpel than this or a little knife to get under it, but the simple matter of fact is I don't have one that's bigger than this that's as suitable for the job as this one, so this one's just going to have to do. Sticky stuff remover for anyone wondering. Yet more scraping was required to get rid of any excess sticky adhesive that had been on there for many years. This was then followed up by a quick wipe down with a kitchen towel. The gunk you see in here is all the adhesive that was still stuck on here, which I couldn't quite remove just without the sticky stuff remover, but it's done a good job. That's nice and flat now. Just need to give it a quick wipe over with some degreaser, just get rid of any excess of the sticky stuff remover and any other little bits of grease and dust and grime on there. But yeah, other than that, we're pretty much ready to put on the new grip. Some degreaser. This is for doing car panels and things like that, for spraying. Still seems to do the job. Before I just took off all the old sticky stuff from the scooter, I actually made a bit of a template of the actual shape of it. So that means then with the new grip, which is obviously rectangular and oversized for the purpose, I can now cut this down to the right size. It's all very simple really. I have thought it through, believe it or not. Right, let's go and offer this up to the scooter and just see how it looks on it. Just offered that back up, and personally I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think it's going to get much better if I keep trimming it and things like that, but yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with the fitment of that. So what I need to do now is peel off the backing and literally just stick it down. So there we go, we've added new handlebar grips, new wheels and bearings, and a new grip to put your feet on, and it's actually made a huge difference. It rolls a lot more freely than it ever did. This is obviously now a lot more grippy than it ever was. These, not going to fall off anytime soon. There is only one more thing I want to do, but I can't do it just yet because I haven't got the materials. Here's just a little edging strip on here because these will essentially take your shins out, which is obviously not very fun. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of edging strip, basically meant for a mini. Yeah, I like minis on this channel in case you can't tell. Going to put some of that edging strip along there just to stop it from, if it ever smashes into your shins, it won't be as painful as with bare metal. But other than that, I think we've reached a good point with it. I'm rather happy with this. It's certainly made a huge difference, and bear in mind all we've done is just very simple little things. I mean, this was probably the longest job of the lot, but yeah, it's made a huge difference overall to both the looks and the way that it moves around. After all this hard work, the scooter is now ready to take to shows when show season 2021 finally begins. As you can see here, it fits inside the boot of the Renault rather nicely. It also folds up and sits quite neatly inside the Fiat's boot, no problems there. And despite the Mini's comparatively small size boot, it also fits in there rather snugly. Excellent. And there we have it. Those are some improvements made to the scooter to make it a little bit better for adult me to ride rather than when I was a little boy. But yes, I think these changes have actually been really positive. The new grip is obviously a lot better than the old one, so my feet aren't sliding around everywhere, as you can see, nice and grippy. The wheels, they're absolutely fantastic, given they're not ovals now. And the bearings, actually, they've made a really big difference to how well it can freewheel. Before, it could not freewheel as well as it can now with these new bearings, and for the cost of doing it, it was definitely worthwhile. The handlebars as well, they're certainly a lot more grippy and they're not coming off anytime soon. In terms of the things that I've used on this, I'm going to have links down in the description to where I got them all from, because if you're looking to do something similar with your scooter or a skateboard or a bicycle and want to use some of these bits on them, you may want to know where they came from. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. This has turned out extremely well, and I think that brings this video to a nice and neat close. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so that every time a new video goes live you know about it. And until the very next video, I shall say farewell.